So you all did some great thinking on the last contrast and contradiction. A lot of you really picked up a lot of great points about Roger and why he's changed and what has caused him to change. They were all great ideas. So a lot of good thinking is going on. And notice how much you are able to consider just by noticing a contrast and contradiction and then asking yourself why the character would act that way. So we're going to keep rereading the text, but this time as we reread, when you notice something that looks like a contrast and contradiction to you, something that surprises you, I want you to be thinking about it in your head, and I want you to be thinking, why is the character doing that? We're going to come back to those points in just a moment when I finish rereading this text. We're going to come back to it, and we will look at that specifically. Okay, so follow along as I read. Let the water run until it gets warm, she said. Here's a clean towel. You're going to take me to jail? Asked the boy, bending over the sink. Not with that face. I would not take you in nowhere, said the woman. Here I am trying to get home to eat, to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook. Maybe you ain't been to supper either, late as it be. Have you? There's nobody home at my house. Then we'll eat. I believe you're hungry, or been hungry, to try to snatch my pocketbook. I wanted a pair of blue suede shoes. Well, you don't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some blue suede shoes. You could have asked me. Ma'am? The water dripping from his face, the boy looked at her. There was a long pause, a very long pause. After he had dried his face and not knowing what else to do, dried it again, the boy turned around, wondering what next. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run, 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 run. The woman was sitting on the daybed. After a while, she spoke. I were young once, and I wanted things I could not get. There was another long pause. The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned, but not knowing, he frowned. You thought I was going to say but, didn't you? You thought I was going to say but I didn't snatch people's pocketbooks. Well, I wasn't going to say that. There was another long pause. The boy didn't know what to say. I have done things too which I would not tell you, son. Neither tell God if he didn't already know. So you sit down while I fix up something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you will look presentable. So this is an important place for a good reader to stop because I've noticed several contrasts and contradictions, and I bet you did too. Take a look at the places you stopped and thought about, the contrasts and contradictions. And before I let you talk with your partners in breakout rooms, we're going to take a moment and just jot those thoughts down. So grab a piece of paper around you, a post-it note, maybe you're going to use your dry erase whiteboard. I want you to jot down what you thought might have been the contrast and contradiction. And I want you to think about Roger or Mrs. Jones and what each has said or done. And I want you to answer this question. When you go into the breakout room, this is the question each of you are going to work on answering together as a group. So you want to identify what was the contrast and contradiction in the passage that we just read. Remember, if you need to review the passage, it is in your Unified Classroom page, so you have access to it there. You need to ask yourself this question. What was the contrast and contradiction, and why did the character act that way? Okay, we're going to capture our thinking on a piece of paper. Take one moment to do that, and then in just a moment, I'm going to open up breakout rooms. I'm going to move the slide deck forward. The question will appear in front of you, and you will go into your breakout rooms to discuss that question with your partners. When we return to the main Zoom room, you should all have that question answered on your individual slides, and you should have chosen somebody that will share the thinking of your group out with the whole group.